Now, let's be very direct about this. There's no doubt about it that Bill Maher, yes, has differing political opinions, but one thing is for certain is that he's been flip-flopping in recent months, especially after November the 5th. Basically, things that he once supported, he no longer supports out of the blue, and I think it's all being done as a way to kind of keep some of his audience in check. Some of his audience actually still, of course, following Real Time with Bill Maher. Once it, of course, comes back in 2025 again, we know that he also had a recent meltdown where he was almost going to quit Real Time, all because of what happened on November the 5th. But what's interesting here has a lot more to do now about how he's beginning to turn on those like George Clooney and even Julia Roberts and many others out there that engaged in political, of course, elements as well as activism and a whole lot more. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you are new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, this is exactly why I have been very direct with all of you. I'm not a fan of Bill Maher. I never really was a fan of Bill Maher, to be honest. But one thing I will say about him right now is that he is another example of a personality that, of course, in the public eye, that, of course, one is on television, that is now beginning to turn his back on those like George Clooney, Julia Roberts, and many other celebrities out there that really got too involved in politics, that got too involved in anything related to politics or anything to do with activism, right? So that's basically, of course, what you're now beginning to see. It's a big trend right now. You're beginning to see a lot of those like Bill Maher and many other talk shows or many different hosts out there that are beginning to turn their back against Julia Roberts and George Clooney. And this is where things begin to pick up. Now, with many personalities beginning to turn on each other ever since November 5th, and the massive backlash coming from the general public since years ago, that have now finally, of course, settled into both Hollywood and the media, one monumental development going on now involves more to do with Bill Maher, of Real Time with Bill Maher, and what he recently had to say about Julia Roberts. Now, Maher delivered the following. Sometimes, I just don't get it with some of these actors that just don't know when to shut up already after they lost. You lost. Get on with your life. I know I feel bad about it too, but I'm not crying like a baby over it. I mean, we saw this with Julia Roberts, right? She's beginning to show, and express her issues with just how large this election turnout really was and how much of a big thing it was. They lost. We lost. Julia, all she can do right now is to blame men and even women. Surprisingly, it's okay to be a woman until you vote for the wrong person, I guess, right? That's how it rolls with Julia. And look, I think it's people like Clooney and Julia that really fooled a ton of people in Hollywood, a ton of people in the media even, like MSNBC, that just don't understand that, I guess. People really wanted to close the book and move on to the next one for the next 4 years. It's really that simple. And now you have this so-called resistance that is being led by actors like Julia Roberts, like, of course, just give up already. It's over and there's nothing that you or I can do about it. As much as that sucks, yes, I will say it sucks, it is what it is. Move on. I just think the more you open your mouth, the more nobody wants, of course, to actually engage in their overall careers. The more, of course, we actually get involved in that, it only makes things worse. So let me just stop right here, guys, real quick about what Bill Maher is saying. Now, look, am I really all that shocked that Bill Maher is now beginning to trash talk about not just Julia Roberts, but also George Clooney? He did that like 2 weeks ago, by the way. It's not all that shocking because now you have a lot of those, not just in Hollywood, but also those within the media, beginning to make this sudden shift. And whether you want to call it hopping on the bandwagon or them acting like two-faced people, whatever have you, I think that Bill Maher is somewhat engaging in a level of being an opportunist at this point. He was once a big supporter of Julia Roberts and George Clooney, and now out of the blue, now he's trash-talking them, right? This is exactly why I think that you have a lot of dishonest people in the media and those that actually have all these different talk shows, whether it's through HBO or whether it's through MSNBC or whether it's through CNN. Doesn't matter. It's all the same, right? So, interestingly enough, he goes on to continue, and now you have this so-called resistance that needs to really come to a full stop. I just think the more you open your mouth, it's going to make things worse. I mean, really, the least you can do is wait it out and see what you can do about it in 2028. Nobody likes woke anymore. Nobody likes DEI coming from all these studios and organizations. And here you have Julia, who still to this day is pushing that and wants that to still be the thing. You know, I just don't get it. I really don't understand why some of these actors want to deliberately drive their career into the ground. I mean, hey, as a comedian and also having the great opportunity to discuss politics on real time, I realize with all of this DEI and woke garbage, it made it harder for many comedians, for many stand-up comedians specifically, to even get started in this business. So I feel for them on that front. And coming from that place, this is why I don't endorse what Julia is trying to sell with DEI and everything all these studios have been trying to throw into entertainment. It really is mind-boggling to me on how they just don't understand that people have a mind of their own, and people see and have seen what's been going on now since, like, what, 2015? 2016 or so. This has been an ongoing thing for almost a decade, and people are tired. They are fed up. Nobody wants to hear from Julia Roberts going off about her views of toxic men and how women made the wrong choice, apparently. So, there you have it again. Now, what's interesting about Bill Maher is that, yes, we know that he was always against the woke stuff for a very long time. He's made that very much clear, but he also made exceptions. Let's not be, let's not be lying about that. He did make some exceptions when it came to all the woke trash, but generally speaking, he was against it. Alright, there's no denying the fact about that. But he's really saying it like it is. I mean, I'll give him that. As much as I am a critic of Bill Maher, I'll give him this at the very least. He's calling out Julia Roberts, rightfully so. He's calling out George Clooney, rightfully so, and many of those within Hollywood that used their platform or used their status as an actor, as an actress, to really engage in politics, to really engage in activism in hopes that it would sway the outcome. And that's just utterly ridiculous, right? And he makes a valid point that many of these actors, he doesn't really know why they're deliberately trying to drive their career into the ground. And I think it really comes back to what, other actors out there once really said. Sylvester Stallone, for example, is that they don't care about their work anymore. It's not coming from a place of passion anymore because that passion is all sucked up dry. You know, they have nowhere to go now. And basically they're just going to use whatever's left to push their ideology, to push their agenda, and that's that. It's like what Mark Hamill also did. You know, he was, of course, live on iHeartRadio, I believe it was, saying that he doesn't care whatever he says, no matter what kind of backlash he gets. He doesn't care what roles he loses. He's that emotionally impacted by what happened on November the 5th. He made that very clear. And yeah, of course, have different actors out there like Mark Ruffalo, and the list goes on and on and on, right? So overall, I would love to hear what you all have to say about Bill Maher, you know, really now going against George Clooney, going against Julia Roberts. Am I really all that shocked? Not necessarily. Did I really see this coming? I think I sure did, especially after how there's so many people doing the same thing now. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I'll catch you guys later.